Hello, I am Taquita Pendleton, a sophomore at National Louis University, currently studying business administration. I am working at AytonTaylor and Associates, a CPA firm. Today, I will be posing some questions every budding entrepreneur should know. Nice to meet you, Mr.
A
Taylor.
pleasure here.
My first question, Dave, is when wanting to start a business or even thinking about starting one, what is some advice you can give?
Well, there are a number of advices that I could give you, but I'm going to start off this way. Because you want to start a business, there's something that came up in your mind that made you decided that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I'm going to tell you a process that you should go through rather quickly if you want to go into that business. First of all, in your mind, decide what type of a business you want to go into. And let's say, because I'm a little bit prejudiced, it's accounting. You have done the right thing. You have come to an accounting firm and you are now going to be learning the processes of accounting. So the first thing a person, whether it's a student or so on, they will go to a place, apply for a position. And it doesn't matter whether it is a lowly position or whatsoever it is, because your intention is to raise yourself up in the process so that you can get there. So you join the organization. Then the next step, you make that decision that you are going to learn everything possible in that organization. So you're going to learn in accounting, you're going to learn filing, you're going to learn how to respond to telephone calls, you're going to learn how to put information together. Now, let's say that you have been placed into the position where you are just doing filing. You're going to do an excellent job. Then having done that, you do not wait on that person to give you another assignment. You go to him and you say, look, I'm doing this very well, but I see Mary over there doing this entry into the accounting process. I would like to do it. I see Mr. Smith over there, who is doing taxes. Can I learn how to do the taxes too? And then that person will see that you really want to do the thing, and that person will put you there. So each time you get there, and another little thing happens too. If you're working with the organization and you're so zealous about what you're doing, you know what is going to happen?
What's going to happen?
You're going to improve that person's profitability. And guess what happens? You're going to get a return, a monetary return on your efforts. But don't go in it just solely for the money now. Go in it for the upliftment of yourself so that you can progress systematically. Now, once you reach a certain stage, that person is going to note that you are good, and he's going to tell other people about you, and he will insist that you move as quickly as possible so that you can attain that level. Then blending it with your studies at school, and you're going to notice one thing. By so doing it, you're going to get a practical way of doing some of the stuff that you get in school that is theoretical. And I can guarantee you, you're going to be much, much better than the students who are only getting the theory. And that's how you bring it to yourself, and you're going to question that person now. What else should I do? What else could I do? And once he said you could do that, don't just say, volunteer to do it. And then you're going to be on the right track.
Thank you for that wonderful answer. My second question here is there are many terms in daily life that people young and old do not know but should, such as fractional reserve banking, inflation, and bank reserve requirement. What do some of these terms mean?
Okay, these are kind of business terms, basically, so that it has to do with banking and so forth. So I'm going to take each one individually and just go over it. They have more details to it, but it will give you an idea. So, for example, now you're talking about fractional reserve banking. What actually happens is that bankers basically lend money to organizations, okay? And they lend the monies to the organization so that the organization can prosper. However, the organizations might go in and negotiate that they want $1 million to work with. Guess what? They do not need that $1 million today. They want it to be spread over a period of time so that if they need it, it is there. They can collect that money. But if they do not need it, guess what? If they don't take it, they won't have to pay any interest on it. So therefore, they can so work that they are utilizing what you call a kind of a line of credit, but they are not paying 100% of the interest on that line of credit because they do not draw down on it. And so therefore, bank set up that type of a relationship so as to be able to, I said it is fractionalized in smaller portions, but you have a big picture in terms of what you can get.
Okay.
The other idea that you have asked me to look into is that you're asking about inflation.
Yes.
Now, what is inflation? If you just look straight at the English language, inflation means something that goes up more than is normal. Okay, it's inflated. Think of a car tire. If the tire is flat, you put air in it to it, it inflates. Now, let's talk about it from the sense where we are talking about the economy. What really happens in the economy is that one thinks that the economy will be at this level in terms of operation, and then the cost of doing business in that economy, let's say they said it is going to be $100. But something happens. Materials are not available. The laws may change. We might put tariffs on certain things. So therefore, what you planned on spending immediately is going to be increased. And that increase is called an inflationary increase. So when they add up all of the different things that happens in the economy that causes things to rise and they put it together, they say the economy is suffering from an inflation rate of 5%. It means that they thought that something would have cost $100. Now it is costing $105. So that's the inflation above what is considered to be the norm. Okay? Now, I've also asked about bank reserve, right?
Yes.
Requirements. Here again, too, when you are in business, okay, a business has to function in a certain way. And especially larger businesses or even banks, okay, there is a requirement that there must be sums of money, and I'm going to take it from a bank standpoint this time. If you are a local bank, okay, what will really happens when you are a local bank is that you are bringing in money and you are lending out money. The government set up a system, the Federal Reserve Bank, to say that if you are operating in Illinois, then you must basically be able to lend people. But if something happens and you have not brought in enough money, guess what? You can go to them and pulling some of that money, that reserve that is needed to keep you going. But as soon as the condition changes again, you have to put it back. Okay? So the Federal Reserve Bank there is really acting, and because it is pulling money from all the different banks that you can think of, it has adequate amount of money to meet particular problems as they come along. So it helps the banks to continue to be what you'd call very vibrant.
All right, thank you. My next question here is, what are insurance premiums?
Okay, that's, I was in insurance some years ago, and I with a very good company, and they wanted to give insurance across the board to many different people. However, what actually happened, and let's take health insurance for a good example. The assumption is that if you're getting insurance, what happens is that you're healthy, don't have any problems, you don't have any asthma, you don't have any diabetes, you don't have any cancer. So if everybody in the world was like that, everybody would be starting out with the same set of life expectancy. But that's not so. Some people are at a disadvantage, but they say they still need to get the insurance. And so they say, we will give you that insurance, but we will give it to you at a slightly higher rate. And they grade them. Cancer might be at a higher rate than diabetes, but they set it out based on experiences that they have studied over the years. And so therefore, they attach an added amount to your normal premium. And because of them doing that kind of a added amount to your normal charges that they will make it, they call that added amount the premium. So the premium is the amount charged over and above the basic charges that if you are all there, healthy, strong, vibrant, with the same life expectancy, then you wouldn't have to pay. Okay? There's another thing too. When you get a little older, don't call me an old man now. Okay? But when you get a little older too, and you're looking for insurance, you do not get it at the same rate that you, the younger person, gets it at. I have to pay an additional amount, which is a premium. Okay? So the other thing that I'm going to tell you, as soon as you can, get some insurance, because you'll get the same coverage for significantly less money than somebody who is older.
Oh, thank you. My next question here is, there are many tactics that banks do. One of them that I want to know, is it true that banks give higher interest rates based on a certain demographic or neighborhood?
That used to be something that was pretty common at one time. But with federal regulations and all of that, it's not that common. However, they grade it based on what is called risk factors. So if I am considered to be a greater risk than the next person, how does the bank levels the situation? They charge me more for the same amount of money that they are giving me. So their interest charge might be half a point more, and so forth. Now, if you're in business and you were running your business, keeping your books properly, having all of the things regular, when the banker looks at that, he says, well, this is a good person. But he doesn't use that word. He said, this is a low-risk person. So therefore, I can lend them the money. So I have a range that I can charge. So I'm going to charge you 3%. The next person comes in, doesn't keep their books good, have a lot of problems, and so forth. But the banker looks at them and says, maybe that person, I'm going to give them a little chance to succeed. But I have to kind of shore up my way, be more, a little bit more what we call conservative. So instead of giving that person a loan for 4%, then what he does is to charge you an extra 2% to protect the bank's interest. Because over time, some people are going to pay and some people won't pay. But when they average it out, these different charges that they make allow them to stay in business because the interest rate pays them for taking that level of risk. All right?
All right, thank you for that answer. And my last question here is, what are some habits that a growing entrepreneur should have in order to see growth within themselves as a business person?
Oh, I love this one. If you're going to go into business, you're not going on holidays. You're going into an entrepreneur situation, and the first thing you have to understand that there is something that we call, even if your grandfather gave you all of the money possible, you have to put into it what is commonly called sweat equity. You have to be ready to work very hard at it, number one. But you need a compass, a guide. So therefore, you have to have plans set up. You can't go into business without having good plans, okay? So how do you do that? You sit down and you structure. I'm going to, let's say that you are in the restaurant business. Before you walk inside there, you have to have plans. And one of the plans is going to be that I have to have attractive food that the people will come and buy. I also must look at the population out there to say, are these people living in this area willing to come to my place to buy? So you're going to have to make it attractive. So I could give you quite a few different things that the young person has to do so as to be able to be successful, okay? But the main thing is to link up with somebody with experience who can guide you. And, one of the sort of people that have experience is like the accountants, because they work for several different people. And they're going to say to you, ma'am, you won't succeed without a plan. And my way of showing you this way is that I'll ask you the question. For example, if you wanted to go to Hawaii, would you choose me as a pilot to fly the plane?
No.
Okay, because I wouldn't have any experience. So therefore, you'd go to United Airlines or American Airlines or one of these ones and say, book a ticket to go to Hawaii. You know why you would do that? They would have a streamlined plan from their leaving the gate of that airport, taking off, a plan that the pilot follows. And the plan also is set up that if certain things happen, they can correct it so that after a time, flying over the ocean, they are going to land you in Hawaii. It's the same thing with business. You need the original plan, the plan for the runway, the plan for the takeoff, and so therefore you will find that the plan is going to be, for example, how much money you want, how many people you are going to be trying to have working for you, what is the cost of the business, how many hours I'm going to be open, okay? Where am I going to put my money in the bank so that I can do that? How much taxes I will have to pay? All of these things are laid out for you, and then with your drive and vigor, which you will bring to the table, and that's the difference, then you will have succeeded in following a plan. So I think Briefly, those are some of the ideas. Now, if you want to get more in-depth kind of counseling, I'm available, and not only available to you, but I'm available to a cross-section of people. I've been doing this kind of things for roughly about 30 years in the current office, but I work for the big organizations to the big accounting firms when I was younger. So I have brought to the table all of these different experiences. And we also are trained every year with proper guidelines so that when you come in with these questions, we can really pilot you towards success.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I appreciate it.
Okay, you're most welcome. And whenever you have any other questions, and if you see anyone that have questions, I am ready, willing, and able to help them.
Thank you.
Thank you.